All righty, we're back from executive session. I would like a motion concerning the 128 Du Bois Street property. Who would like to make the motion?
I'll move to accept the bid proposal from Boss Partners Garfield Brooks.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that. Yeah, second,
Thank
David.
you, David. All in favor, raise your hand or say aye.
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 Great. All right, the motion is carried. We will get a hold of Boss Street Partners and start that process. Thank you.
Jen, is that the last item we need for voting?
Yeah, the only other thing was we were going to discuss the 10 Chambers RFP, but we're actually not ready to release that. So yeah, no, I think that was it.
Okay. Lisa, I apologize, but I do have to jump off here.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time, Joe.
Great. Have a good day, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you, Joe.
Bye. All righty. The rest of the stuff should stay in our regular monthly meeting before we go to our annual meeting.
I just
That
have
we
some
could-
updates, really.
I'm sorry?
The other items are just quick updates.
Okay, so I'm just cognizant of the time. We don't necessarily have to have our annual meeting today, although it's better to get it out of the way. It's supposed to be June, so we're a little behind.
We may not have quorum.
Did we lose a member just now?
Yeah.
Yes, Joe Serace had to sign off. Oh, that's right, then you're right. We can't do the annual meeting. So we'll put that off until November.
Did Ramona drop also?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Where's Ramona? Because that'll give us our 4.
Oh. Oh. Allie, can you text her or somebody text her? My phone is dying. Thanks, Allie.
With the 4, you can do the meeting, but with the 3, we have a problem.
Yeah, I don't know. She just popped off this just as Joe did, and I didn't see her go. So maybe she might have lost a connection. But anyway, let's just talk.
Yeah. So,
where do you want to start?
We're basically just with the house to home. We're hoping to complete the Johnson properties mid-December. That was the new timeline we were given by the contractor. And the Lander properties are, like I said, more like in early March, I'm going to say, or early spring. But that they're going very well. The Church of Holy Deliverance, we completed the subdivision process with the planning board. We're maybe still waiting on some paperwork and moving towards that process of acquiring those properties, those 3 lots on Lander. For 104 Washington, we have a tentative closing date of December 1st. It's really the only update I have. And 143 Washington, they are moving ahead with the original proposal of doing the new construction. Yeah, and they did go to the IGA. The IGA wanted them to, I think, reduce their ask because it's not, the amount of jobs being created wasn't as significant as, the ask that they were making for a pilot. So I think they're going to work on that, but they were kind of moving forward, assuming they wouldn't get it, that they could make up for the cost elsewhere. They hope to present to ARC in December or January. And they started their historic tax credit process with the state. So they, are moving ahead with that and with the design process. So 128 Du Bois, we just went through that. Legacy City is the other major thing we're working on. That's the continuation of our House to Home program with this new state funding available. We have been working closely with CPC and with Madeline's program at HCR. This is for 6 properties, Lander, South Miller, and one on Chambers. For 17 units. There'll be six home ownership properties. They are going, CPC is going to their credit committee for approval next week, and Madeline is going to her committee for credit approval on Friday of this week. So they're really pushing this quickly. We're continuing to work with Carlos Carbonero, who's our contractor on 115 and 150 Lander, to co-develop the project. And we have an attorney who has experience with setting up housing development fund corporations, HGFC, which we would set up to do this kind of co-development with Carlos. And work through that whole program. So the kind of second purpose of the program outside of home ownership is to work with minority developers that might not have as much experience. So that's what we're doing. And so yeah, probably by the next meeting we'll have an update about that project being approved. They are saying that will be the second project in the program to be approved. So Albany's just got approved and will be the next one.
On the Church of the Holy Deliverance, where we, I'm not sure what, is there anything we need to do, or does the city need to do, or who needs to do what to get this done?
Well, I think there was just like a thing with the plat, and that the surveyor had to put in the comments that the city engineer had made into the final thing.
So it's with the surveyor now is the.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if he submitted that already. I saw an email that the city engineer was okay with it, so I think that he has.
Okay.
I would say no, because Lisa,
Ally?
if you haven't signed it, we don't have everything we need.
Well, she did sign it, but then it came back saying that there were some things that hadn't been added. So there was some kind of miscommunication, but it was,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I signed it right after the last planning board meeting, a couple days after. So I wasn't at the meeting, and then I got together with JK. Okay, so I'll reach out. Ally, you want to reach out to Chad and see if he has any issues?
Yeah, I'll see if he has any update on that.
Okay, thank you. All righty. Chambers Street, did we talk about that? I'm sort of.
So we're waiting. I ordered an appraisal, and I'm meeting with the appraiser on Friday. So we can't really release the RFP. We have the RFP prepared, but we're waiting on that to find out what our offer price should be.
Okay. On to building preservation.
So just so everybody knows, we had discussed doing the interior demo of 44 South Miller, which we had some funding from our enterprise grant to do. We released an RFP for that work and we didn't get any responses. But in the meantime, I discussed with enterprise that we want to put that building into our Legacy City program and renovate it fully. And so they're allowing us to use that remaining grant money as like pre-development money for the Legacy City. So it was about $111,000 left for that in the grant for that. And so we're just using that to do all the pre-development work for Legacy City. And that will
Okay,
be rolled into that financing for all 6 buildings. And that way we can do the full renovation of 44 South Miller. Because it really, nobody was interested in doing the interior demo and stabilization, and the grant funding that we had really wasn't sufficient to do all that was needed.
okay.
So that worked out. So that was it for that. I don't know, for the next item, which was the Community Land Trust feasibility study. I don't know if we need like a vote for that or.
Didn't get any, I might have missed it in the emails. I didn't get any information about that. Was it in like Dropbox or something?
It
Sometimes I
was
can't
a
access.
separate folder within the October folder.
Oh, okay.
And essentially, Diane Boston, who worked on the housing needs assessment with Leviticus and Kevin Dworkin, was asked to do a community land trust feasibility study, because that was one of the recommendations that came out of the housing needs assessment. And so she wanted to apply to Dyson mini grant program to pay for that. But she needs a nonprofit sponsor, and asked if the land bank could be that fiscal sponsor for that grant, which would be a $12,000 grant.
Ally, any ideas? David?
What specifically is the question?
If we would agree to be a fiscal sponsor for her to get a grant to carry out the study, to see if a community land trust, to look into the community land trust model in Newburgh, and to talk to stakeholders and, analyze the feasibility of starting a land trust, which is different than a land bank in that it's kind of a more permanent structure where land is held together. Like a ground lease is controlled by a community land trust, and then the homes within that are more affordable. And I shared some information that she had shared about what land trusts are, but it's, a model for affordable home ownership. That is,
How broad would a land trust be in terms of the amount of property that it would hold as a percentage of the overall property or available property in the city?
It can vary depending on the land trust, and as it grows, but it's usually not, a huge percentage. It's, what you can put together.
And what's our financial responsibility or liability?
I don't know. We would be the fiscal sponsor. We've done that in the past, for the Downing Park Urban Farm. Essentially, we're like a pass-through, lending our 501c3 status.
Okay, okay, that,
So what is the outcome of the study is that a land trust would or would not be feasible, and it would replace the land bank? It's a complementary program to a land bank. I'm not familiar with what
It would
exactly
be complementary, like Albany has one, and so the land bank in Albany works together with their land trust a lot, but it would be something that would be set up completely separate from the land bank, and we might be able to work together with the land trust, and that we have property that could be included or sold to the land trust, but it wouldn't be a joint enterprise in any way.
and would
Right.
it conflict at all?
No, I think they work. There's a lot of, examples of them working well together and being complementary. It's, there's the big example of it is in Boston, the Dudley Street Neighborhood Initiative in Roxbury, that, they were able to buy a lot of property when it was not worth as much, and have been able to maintain affordable housing for the predominantly Black community there, over decades, and is seen as a real success and a great example of that, and that, build community power in various ways. And so it gets harder to set up the land trust, as property values increase. So it's a way of protecting affordability while it's still possible.
And our involvement would just be through the feasibility study.
Right, so all we're committing to is being a fiscal sponsor for this study to see if it makes sense to move forward in any way with
Okay.
it.
Well, we can't take a vote because we don't have enough members. I like the idea, but we're going to have to hold off on, unless it's something that we can just say, let me see.
Well, do
Yeah,
we
I
have a
think we
quorum?
need to vote on it.
Do we have a quorum to approve it?
No,
No.
they're expended money, so you can't.
Okay.
Right.
That's
spending
what.
money, I assume we need a motion to approve, and if we don't have a quorum, we can't approve it.
There you go.
Right?
So,
I mean, I'm not
Yeah,
I'm
correct.
not against the idea, but we're not able to do it this meeting.
Nope.
Yeah, I'm fine approving it if we have a quorum, but we don't have that.
no, we don't. And you didn't, Ally, you didn't hear back from Ramona. Darn. All righty,
Yeah.
we'll have to move on and just let them know that we didn't have a quorum to approve. We're leaning that way.
Mhm.
Okay, let's move on to Max Dworkin.
So he's requesting another extension. I guess
Refresh my recollection, which is this?
this is 61 Liberty in Washington Heights. He's had a couple of extensions already. He's kind of in the final push to get completion, and has had a lot of issues with, I think, his plumber and electrician, to get things squared away. He's just kind of crawling to the finish line here. I think he's expecting a final inspection in November, but his email was a little unclear to me.
Ally, you have any information about this? Okay. Well, what do you think, people? He's been with, well,
Yeah, I
we
mean,
last
it
extended.
looks monumentally better, and I see people wandering around, so I don't think he's abandoned the project, but it is
Right.
taking a long time.
Yeah, I don't know if it can't hurt us. I think it could hurt us if we said, no, you have to give it back.
Right.
But if we
Right.
give them an extension to the end of the year, if that's enough, or January, or something that seems reasonable. I mean, and I get it. I'm sympathetic to the fact that there are issues with building at this point in time. So what's the board?
Why don't we give him a 90-day extension, and he owes us monthly progress report.
I like that.
So there's some flexibility on our side, but there's some accountability around this, and I don't know enough to say exactly what needs to be done or not done in 90 days, but I think just setting up a structure where there's some monthly accountability, where you have to spend the time, produce a report, produce photos, something that demonstrates what the progress is, then we should be able to ask for that for our flexibility.
That sounds good to me. Everybody, can we vote on it? Do we have to vote on an extension?
You can't really vote now without the quorum. I think you could do it administratively, Jen, when you talk to him, and and say, listen,
Right.
you know, we'll grant you the 90 days, but you have to have monthly progress reports, and we need them on the first of every month, whatever it is. And I need one right away on November 1st to start. Otherwise, you know, we're gonna relook at what we're doing here.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So why don't you just do that administratively and then report back?
Great.
Okay.
All righty. Any other business we need to address right now?
I think so.
Ally, Joe, and staff, I appreciate you hanging, not Joe, excuse me, David. I appreciate you hanging in. I'm glad we got quite a bit accomplished, and we have a firm date for the next meeting, and we'll include our annual meeting on that date also.
Great.
All righty.
Bye,
If
all.
we've
Okay, thanks, everybody.
accomplished everything, end the meeting.
Okay.